You've worked hard to earn and save. Now it's time to make your money work hard for you. This is Empower Your Retirement with Frank and Frankie Guida of A Better Way Financial.
All right, so every weekend on the program, we like to do a little financial 101, some just baseline information about retirement planning. One of the things you, dear listener, you might have heard about is this quote unquote, this air quotes, this magic age. When you turn 59 and a half, Frankie, we were joking off the air. We don't spend much time celebrating half birthdays when we get to age 59. But in this case, we're going to. So 59 and a half is a very important age as you get close to retirement. And I want you guys to explain why. What is the significance? What do we need to know? What do we need to do once we hit this age?
So first of all, Heather, do you know why the half?
Tell me the half.
They use a 59 and a half.
Okay.
They used to use 70 and a half.
Yeah.
You know, I have a theory.
Okay.
And I think what happened was, there was a couple of drunk congressmen one day.
Oh, no.
They're sitting in a bar saying, how do we mess with everybody?
No.
How do we make them have to do math and calculations and stuff? And the one says to the other, why don't we use half ages so that we can figure out, people have to figure out when they could start doing this or start doing that. And that's why they put that stuff in there, just to mess with us.
It does seem to be unnecessary.
That's my theory.
I don't know. My theory is that the congressmen were 59 and a half, but they weren't 60 and they didn't want to wait.
Yeah, okay. That could work too.
Self-serving, okay. Uh-huh.
But 59 and a half is really a magical age.
Tell me.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's like when the government is saying, okay, you can now be more in control of your retirement plans. You can now be more in control of your investments. And honestly, it's been great because, a lot of the folks, they're sitting there and they're stocking away money in their 401ks.
Yep.
And, quite a few 401ks have quite a few different investment options. But, I haven't seen any really good, safe options.
Yeah.
In these plans, a lot of the people tend to think that the bonds are safe, but our research shows that they're not so safe, are they, Frankie?
No. In an investment, you could lose that kind of money that people have been losing in bonds. It's just not a safe strategy. Over the past 10 years, they're down. So yeah, I wouldn't want to have my money in
an average of over 1% a year.
That's no good. It's no good. And they have stable value funds, but it's stable value with very little growth. So the funds that they have there for safety just are suboptimal. They use the target date funds that, as you get closer to that retirement, they throw more and more of your portfolio into bonds, and that usually doesn't perform well either on that side of things either. But when you hit that age 59 and a half, it allows you to be able to take from your retirement accounts without penalty. Before 59 and a half, there's a 10% penalty if you take from your 401k or your IRA. So if you retire before 59 and a half, you have a problem, and it's where am I going to get that income from? Am I going to get it from my IRA or 401k? I can't do that without paying a 10% penalty. And so with that being the scenario, hitting that age 59 and a half is a very nice thing where financially that means, okay, well now I can take that income out and I don't have to worry about paying any penalties. It also means that you can transfer those funds in most cases from your 401k into a self-directed or into a managed IRA. And so what that does is it allows you to get control over those investments instead of being limited to just the options within the 401k. It allows you to have more options than just the mutual funds that you have in there. You can reduce some of the risk in the portfolio and have some of the options that the 401k does not allow for. And it can, in some cases, reduce your fees as well from those 401ks. So we analyze people's 401ks to see, well, what is going on, what's doing well in there, and what improvements are out there. And so if you want to find out what we can do and what it looks like for your specific circumstances, we can put together a complimentary risk and return analysis where we're going to be able to show you what's performing well in your 401k, what's not doing so well in your 401k, and what alternative options you have. So if you're 55 and older and you've saved $500,000 or more for your retirement, give us a call right now for your complimentary risk and return analysis. That number to dial is 610-440-3722. That's 610-440-3722, and ask for your complimentary risk and return analysis.
We had a couple that did just that. They called in, they were listening to the radio, and they said, you know what, we probably should have one of these risk and return analysis things done, and make sure we're, getting the right type of return, the right type of risk for this stage of our life. They were in their mid-60s, and they had accumulated quite a bit of funds. They had accumulated $2.2 million. And a lot of it was in their 401ks, and we analyzed it for them, didn't we, Frankie?
Yeah, we looked into their 401k. We did a risk and return analysis, and we showed them, hey, here's what's going on. You have a high-risk portfolio, which I don't know that that's exactly where you want to be, but let's talk about your risk. And they said, well, I really don't want to go down more than 25%. And then we said, okay, well, we'll keep that in mind as we develop your portfolio. But even with the high-risk portfolio you have, about half of the portfolio is only averaging around 11%, while the S&P 500 is averaging over 14%. So you're not keeping up with the overall stock market. And then we looked, and that was just over the last 5 years. When we looked at a longer time frame, over the past 25 years, their portfolio averaged around 7.5%, but could go down as much as 44%. Or with the savings that they had, about almost $1 million of their $2.2 million is what they could lose if there was a major market crash.
Yikes.
And I said, is that something you feel comfortable with? Because when we discussed, you said you didn't want to go down more than 25%.
They didn't like that at all.
Right.
They're like, no, I don't want to be able to lose $1 million of my 2.2. That's just not going to work for me. And I said, all right, well, let's reduce some of the risk in the portfolio. But even while we reduce that risk, we're still going to be looking at and projecting a stronger rate of return, about 8.5% over the past 25 years instead of 7.5%. So on average, a 1% higher rate of return, and cutting that drawdown to less than 25%, or around 530,000 instead of around $1 million. So about half of the risk, and still trying to get a better rate of return as well. And by setting up this portfolio, that was about $24,000 on average more interest per year with that setup, with that reduction in risk and that higher projected rate of return.
Okay.
And so by utilizing that complementary risk and return analysis, we were able to show them strategies they could use to lead to a more comfortable retirement, not having to stress about what's going on with the stock market, being within their risk tolerance. The market goes down 50%, they're down half of the market. So able to take a lot of the risk off the table just by having it looked at. It's important to get these things updated because you don't want to be surprised when that next major market crash happens. You don't want your portfolio to go down more than you feel comfortable with.
Especially as you're getting closer to retirement.
Especially as you're getting closer to retirement. So what we can do is we can put together a complementary risk and return analysis for you, showing you what's doing well in your portfolio, what level of risk you're taking, and what you should expect your returns to be over the course of your retirement. So if you'd like to have that done, we're offering that right now for the next 5 callers who are 55 and older and they've saved $500,000 or more for their retirement. So if you feel like that's you, give us a call for your complimentary risk and return analysis right now. That number to dial is 610-440-3722. That's 610-440-3722.
Thanks for listening to Empower Your Retirement with Frank and Frankie Guida. To learn more, visit abetterwayfinancial.com.
By contacting us, we'll review aspects of your retirement portfolio to include suggestions about how best to utilize estate, tax, and retirement planning strategies and other financial services, or if changing management styles is appropriate for your specific needs and objectives. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendations to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate, and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. A Better Way Financial is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Any client experiences discussed during this show are unique to that client, and they are not meant to imply or suggest you will experience the same results. Advisory services offered through A Better Way Financial. Insurance offered through licensed professionals at A Better Way Financial. Pennsylvania Insurance License number 301779.